says, I had 25 years of experience. I started when I was 2 years old. I'm really actually pretty young. So welcome. I didn't bring any videos with me today, so you just have to look at me, so I can talk to you, do a song and dance or whatever like that if I have to. But I'll entertain you somehow today, okay? I think we have a nice entertaining case study that we're going to talk about here, so let's get on with it. Okay, so we're going to talk about 5 areas today. The introduction to customer management. We're going to talk about the 5 steps to walk through, have a question and answer before we do the case study, and then the final question and answer period. So what is customer management? It's a process for maximizing customer value, which leads to better company profitability. Okay? We all have relationships with companies we buy from, we work with, and so forth. And the goal is to make you think of them as something, think of them as top of mind when you're going to buy something from them that they sell. It's part quantitative and it's part subjective. This is a part that some people don't understand because I always tell people it's art as much as science. The art meaning you gotta say, well, this looks like this or this feels like this, whatever. But there's a quantitative part to it also. And that's where I work with several people with PhDs in statistics, and they can't get past the numbers, telling the whole story. You tell part of the story, but you have to also apply some business strategy. And then it's properly implemented, it becomes a self-fulfilling, self-sustaining cycle, or the circle of life. I'm not going to use a simple dance here or anything like that. But this is what we call the customer management circle of life. So as often understanding goes to value analysis, segmentation, experience, and acquisition of customers. So why is this important? Well, we talk about increasing profitability by reducing cost. Instead of sending out your mailings to everyone who meets your basic criteria, you find the ones who are most likely to respond to that criteria. So you end up sending a few mailing pieces and getting the same response, same number of responses. It makes a big difference. And competitors are after your best customers. So if you know who your customers are and you treat them well, they're going to stay with you. But if you don't treat them well, your competitors are going to take them from you, and you're going to be looking for new customers, and that's very expensive. And it's extremely important in a down economy. When the economy is not going very well, and you don't take care of your customers, as soon as the economy gets better, and they get more income to spend or whatever, they're going to go to the competitor. You take care of them during the economy is down. They're going to say, gosh, Brian's going to be stuck with me. They provided me good products and good services during that time, and I'm going to be very loyal to you. So, for the 5 steps: customer understanding, value analysis, segmentation and grouping, customer experience, and acquisition. So customer understanding. Customer understanding is basically knowing who the customer is based on the behavior, what price they buy, what services they buy, how often they buy that, how many years have they been buying from you, and so forth. Your demographics based on the life stage. Are they single? Are they married? Married with children? Married, preparing for college for the children, retired, and stuff like that. Those are important pieces to have, when you're trying to do your segmentation scheme. And your gender, male, female, other, whatever it is, age, your age ranges, geography. Another one is income. We had a question in classes recently about how do you add income for, say, for high value customers. How do you find that information out? You ask them, they're not going to tell you. They're going to want to tell you. But the easy proxy for that is zip code. In most cases, the zip code will, approximate the income level for that person, and you can find, the income ranges for that zip code on the internet, on the Census Bureau's website. It's very easy to figure out. And if you go out and buy some data, you can get the zip plus 4 data, which brings it down to the block level, and you got an even better definition of their income. So, the benefits of this is that it gives you a better understanding of who your customers are, which will enable you to better target and tailor your products and services to their needs. Okay? A new customer's needs may be different from a customer who's been with you for a long time. The types of products that you may want and service or purchase to be different. It could be one-time purchases if you're buying, one-offs, or if it's a long-term contract. Okay, then there's also possible potential upsell and cross-sell opportunities if you know who your customers are. So to implement this, well, you get first you build a database of these key attributes. Okay, some sources of that. Start with your accounting system is a very easy one, because that's going to give you, what they purchased, and depending on the kind of company you are. If you are a typical retailer, you may not have all the name and address information in there unless you have a loyalty program. If you have a loyalty program, you can merge those two together and find out who's buying and what they're buying and do out of your accounting system there. Surveys, are great. One problem is surveys, don't always get a high response rate, so you don't get a great response. And most surveys nowadays are done electronically, so that helps out as far as the compiling of the data and entering the data. But in the past, surveys had to be input manually, which causes you run into input errors also. Then there's purchase data, which can be very accurate if you buy the right kind of data. When the right kind of data, of course, is more expensive than the cheap data too, right? It's like buying a cheap pair of pants versus a good pair of pants. One's going to last you a couple seasons, and one's not going to last you very long, right? So then the next step is the value analysis. In the value analysis, you're trying to determine how valuable that customer is to your organization. Now, I want to emphasize the word, your organization, because their value to another organization may be totally different. They may be more or less valuable to another organization to one of your competitors. So you have to look at how they are to your organization. So we use, customer lifetime value, which is, the net present value of the profitability of a customer over the life of that relationship. Not as easy as it sounds. I know it doesn't even sound easy, does it? Okay, but the biggest challenge is knowing the length of a customer relationship with your organization. If you're fairly new, you don't know if that customer is going to stay with you 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, whatever. If you've been around for a while, like you're like a big Allstate insurance company, something like that, you kind of know how long an average customer will stay with you. Okay, so that's a little harder to do, but you can do some things. To come up with some to approximate lifetime value very easily. One way I recommend is using I call it simplified lifetime value, which just takes the average of the profitability of a customer over a specific time frame. You want to try to do at least like 3 years because profitability can increase and fluctuate between years. So if you say you take an average profitability of a customer say over 3-5 years, you get an idea of what the value is to the organization. So some of the benefits, it enables organizations to be able to treat the customers based on the value to the organization. All right, you have your high value customers, you want them to treat them best. You don't want them to leave, you want to do everything possible to keep them as a high value customer. Mid value, you want to motivate them to become more high value. Then your lower value customers, you want to either get them to move up or move out. Okay. Now that can be a trap too. All right. A lot of people will tell you, those guys down the bottom there, let's get rid of them. You can tell me with another competitor. Well, the only problem is if you've got 1,000 customers, and you've got 100 of them are in the bottom tier of your segmentation of your customer levels. Get rid of all 100 of those customers. So what happens to the rest of the overhead that those customers are covering? It has to be spread to the other customers. So I tell my clients and stuff is, as long as those customers are not costing you money, keep them because they're covering overhead. that make sense to you?
How does that work with like Comcast, where I feel like I'm just throwing money at them every month and they treat me?
You are. You are. I can feel your pain. I have Comcast too. Okay? And you know they have all these special deals that they say they offer, but you never can seem to find them. And that's something we're going to talk about here later on. Is you know a lot of times companies, if you are a new customer, you get a better deal than the ones who have been around for a long time. That's the same thing with the phone carriers. The same thing. You know, I just finally got a new deal with Sprint. You know, I've been with them for probably 10 years or so, and just now getting a deal that I can actually be happy with. Well, not ever happy with it, but you know, I can accept it a lot easier than what I was paying before for 2 phones, which is what I was paying before for 4 phones. So, but you look at some of the industries, you know, that's a good point for you. Good segue. I paid you $5 for that, didn't I? Okay. Good segue because I'm going to talk about some of the industries that use this and how they use it, you know, good and bad. You know, for a long time, I used to always use the airlines as one of the best examples of using, you know, the customer data to determine, you know, how they treat you. You know, if you were, you know, premier customer, you got, you know, better treatment. You got, you know, board earlier and all this kind of stuff. And if you were the executive premier, you got even better treatment, and you got, you know, upgrades a lot easier. And if you were, what is it, you know, the 1Ks, I think it is, 100,000 club on United. I have a guy I used to work with. He was a 100K for 10 years in a row. So I was like, that's too much traveling, dude. All right. You know, I was happy just to use the $25,000, 25,000 miles a year, just so I could get the just some of the upgrades and some of the perks. You know, 50,000, that means you're on the road every day, and that's just like. And he has a family and stuff like that. It's like, no, I want to see my family. I want to see my kids, you know, that kind of stuff. Now my kids are growing up in teenagers, so they don't want to see me anyway. That's another story. So, but the airlines have always done a good job of that before because they knew your frequent flyer number. They knew how to treat you. But you know, they kind of tittered away some of that's the word I choose to use today. But they use some of that goodwill by trying to charge baggage fees and other fees like that. You know, before, you know, if you were, you know, a good customer, you didn't have to pay any of that stuff. At least I'm sure the 1Ks don't have to pay that, but still, you know, you still felt good about traveling with the airline even if you weren't, you know, the top tier. But now they're so busy trying to make extra fees off of people, and that's where their profits are coming from. Another industry, we talk about mobile phone carriers. You know, they know that, you know, I've been a good customer for, you know, the Sprint for a long time. But, you know, I'm paying a lot of money for them, you know, a lot more than I thought I should be paying compared to what they're offering on television. You know, so, but that's another one. Amazon is always still good about it. You know, if you're a Prime customer, they have all kind of nice deals for Prime customers. You know, Prime Day, which, you know, a friend of mine told me about. He saw like a $500 watch for $99 on Prime Day, and I was like, gosh, I'm going to make sure I watch that next year. It comes out once a year. You know what Prime Day is? Yeah, once a year. So make sure you watch out. I bought some nice things on it this past year. So, Kohl's, it's a department store. And most people here in the Chicago area know. I tell people, if you buy anything at Kohl's full price, you pay too much for it. Okay, because they always have a sale. And you can always add on discounts on top of it. I was just there on Sunday with my son, and he was buying some pants. He's had a summer job, and now he wants to buy some sweatpants for himself. I said, okay, let's go. And I just showed him my Kohl's card, not the charge card, but the rewards card, and they logged it in. Get an email the next day. Oh, you get $20 off now any purchase over the next month or so. And then you can add another 10% off on this, and then another 20% off on top of that. And it's like, you know, but they do a good job there because every time you go and spend that extra money, you actually end up spending more money. You know, so you have to be careful of that. So, but to implement it, you're looking at your annual revenues over a time period, you know, less your expenses and your costs, because your average net for the year on books equals your customer value. So now the next one is segmentation grouping. Now, this is one of the classes I teach for West Virginia. Okay, hi Shannon. Or trying to right now. But we're doing a good, we'll get to it. But this is the heart of customer management. Okay, putting customers into different segments based on similar characteristics for more effective management. You know, we've all heard the term one-to-one marketing and stuff like that. Well, it really is not a really one-to-one. I can't have one marketing message to you and one message to you and so forth like that. It's kind of still like a one-to-many. You know, but if I put you in similar groups, then that same message resonates to everyone in that group. Okay. So some of the dimensions can include behavior, customer value, buying patterns, demographics, and life stage. Now, I actually built a segmentation model including all 5 of these characteristics. Now, the problem is when you start doing this into multiple dimensions, you end up with a huge segmentation scheme. So if you don't have someone experienced and know how to bring that back down to a manageable number, you can be in trouble. You know, I did a project at one of the banks out on the East Coast, and each one of the departments, checking had a scheme they wanted to put in, you know, savings had another scheme, you know, investments and real estate, and everybody else had their own little scheme they wanted to do for their customers. So I started multiplying this out because, you know, 9 here times 9 times 9 times whatever it is. They had like 400,000 segments when they were all done. And I said, well, you only have 18 million customers. How's that going to work out? Okay. So we put them in a room together and we did lock the door and we let them out until they started giving into something more reasonable. So, but it helps marketers to better target the treatment of the message to the different customers. We were talking about before, established customer may have different needs from a new customer. So benefits is you want to market to your customers based on the similar needs and behavior. You don't want to market to ones who are not interested in a certain product. Okay, if you are a Toyota dealer, you're not going to market them like a Kia. And if they are loyal Toyota buyer, okay, I'm a very loyal Honda buyer. Because I know I don't like to buy a new car on a regular basis because it costs too much money. I like to drive until they fall into the ground. And so I've got 2 Hondas right now, the old one and the new one, a newer one. So I went to some friends said, go out to this dealership here and they'll give you a good deal. And they sold like 4 different brands, and the guy tried all the different brands and stuff. Number one were Hondas. It's like, no, they weren't, because I already done my research. I knew what I wanted, but they tried to force me into something I didn't really want. So, but if you talk to customers or potential customers about what they're looking for, they'll be more likely to hear you. If they had like 1 Honda on the lot, I would have talked to them, but they didn't have any. They had a bunch of other brands. And also it helps build customer relationships. So if you got, like I said, if you had like 10,000 customers and you are mail to them and about 100 responses out of that, good responses. If you could market to 9,000 of those and get the same 100 responses, wouldn't that make more sense? It'd save you a lot of money. And that's actually happened with some of my clients, where we're able to cut their marketing costs by 30% and increase their response by 10%. Maximizes your profits there. So some examples we're going to talk about here, behavior, using frequency of purchases, number of products purchased, and we got the demographic one also. So in the behavior segmentation, you put groups of customers in the cells built around the purchasing behavior. The basic model we typically use is called an RFM model: recency, frequency, and monetary. And recency means how soon, when was the last time they bought. Frequency is how often they bought. And monetary is money, how much they spent. So, and then if you're doing something for less than RFM, you can use the books, the time they've been a customer versus how much they spent. So I'll get to an example of both of these right here. So in this example here, typical RFM model. Across the top here, we have recency, which is the number of times since the last purchase, number of times since the last purchase. 0 means they bought this month. 1 is 1 month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, and so forth. And that's the last time they purchased. And then down on the side here on the left, you have the number of times they purchased in the last 6 months. So this top customers here bought 5 times in the last 6 months, and their last purchase was this month. Okay? And 4 times in the last 6 months, and so forth and so on. So you take this information here, these are not quantities here, number of customers, and then you lay in average value or an average profitability per customer, and you can see that the most valuable customers of course, are the ones here in this upper left-hand corner here, $3,000 average customer value. The lowest ones are down here, minus 50. We lost money on these customers down here. So when you try to group them in, you're not going to work with, what is this, 7 times 5, 35 cells. You're not going to work with 35 separate cells. You're going to boil it down to something that's more manageable, say into like 5 to 10 typically. So one of the ones you're going to obviously have this one here by itself, because those are your most valued customers right there. Then the blue represents the next group of customers. The yellow will be the next group, and the purple, and the gold down here. Okay, are the lower value, most valued customers. So what you do is, you want to make sure that, like I said, you keep the ones that high customers, you want to keep them where they are. And then in the next tier, you want to try to motivate them, to buy more, upsell, cross-sell, so they can become a high value customer. I had a client that actually did something like this for them. It was that one multi-dimensional database I told you about. And they organized an entire marketing department around the sales that we came up with. We had 9 customer segments, and they reorganized an entire department around that, and a marketing manager for each 9 segments. So they were focused on what their strategy was for each one of the segments. So the loyalty behavior, this is one used, like for a telecommunications, cable company, insurance company, something like that, where you look at the number of products that they may have purchased. Okay, you get a lot. It can be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, like that. So then years as a customer. Here in top sell, you have your customer who's been with you for 5 years, and they have all your products basically. Okay, very valuable customer. And the longer you keep them in that top, these top sell here, the more valuable they're going to be over time. Because each year, they become more valuable because the switching costs are a lot more challenging as you go along, especially for like an insurance company. I've been with my current insurance company for I don't know how many years, but I see all the nice deals out there, but I know I'm getting a good deal, and I know there's customer service and stuff like that, so I'm happy where I am. So what you do is, so you have your purchase segmentations, the best opportunity to manage your customer base and help motivate the customers to make additional purchases and cross-sell, upsell. You talked about the different segments, how you want to move them around. And then the loyalty ones, it can change as they stay in the books. For an insurance company, the goal is to get them in the door, get them to buy the second product, and get them to stay, 2 or 3 years. Once you get the second product, then you get the third product, and so forth and so on, because they know that once you get like 2 or 3 products with them, and you've been with them for 3 years or more, your chances of changing companies is lowered dramatically. So looking at demographic segmentation, we're just looking at just the characteristics of a person, age, income, geography, gender, whatever. We talked about the Rogaine Health hair growth product. This is a point where most people laugh because I obviously didn't use Rogaine soon enough. But okay, they still had me do the segmentation for them. And I sat at a computer. I actually didn't form this out to the modelers. I sat there at the computer and just ran profiles for a week. trying to figure out what the differentiations are between the different customers. And results were, we found that 85% of people buying the product were males. Duh, okay? What we didn't know was before 50% of the people buying were women. Skewed older in age, although there was a lot of people who were in their 30s who were actually buying the product also, okay? And we had Florida was the highest percentage, because it had like double whammy. You had, older men down in Florida, trying to look hot for the older hot ladies. So we came with some segments, and this is just some of those, good studs. These are the young guys who were buying it. Because what we did was we took their data. What Rogaine did was really smart. Was before they went over the counter, they said, send in, go to your dermatologist and get a card to send in to us, okay? And we'll give you, $10 off your Rogaine purchase. We'll give you a coupon. So what they were doing is they collected all this data information. We had 3 million records to work with, which was nice. We pinned it, with their name and address, we would have pinned all this demographic data to their file and understand who they were. So that's actually kind of cool. So that's how we knew the youngsters. We knew what age they were, and then we knew how much they were buying and stuff like that. Then the grandpas were the old guys who still wanted to look good, the silver fonts. They got tired of the comb over and stuff like that. And then there was the old blue hairs, or the women who were buying it. But the thing about the women purchasing it, we could not tell. We did not know whether the women were buying for themselves or for a significant other. But the light went off and said, you know what? Women also have a balding problem. If it's men, it's 80% of men have a balding problem, whereas 30% of women have a balding problem. So this led to the introduction of Rogaine for women. And when it first came out, it was the exact same formula. Rogaine for men in the blue box, Rogaine for women in the pink box. And since then, they've changed the formulation a little stronger for men because, men we still need to have our hair. I'm just happy Michael Jordan made bald look good. I was able to just cut it all off and just, be now happy with it. So that's how they got to Rogaine for women. And if you walk into that time, Walmart and stuff, Walgreens, whatever, you see the counters, the blue box and the pink box right next to each other. It's the exact same minoxidil percentage in it and so forth. So it was kind of cool. So you manage your customers based on a particular segment, and single customer may have different needs than a married customer, older versus younger, and so forth. But people respond better, as you talked about in the earlier presentations. People respond when you talk to them, in the context of what they're looking for, in the media, the channel, the media that they're interested in seeing. And so it builds strong relationships and eventually more profits.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Did Rogaine charge more for men or women's product, or are they both priced the same?
Same price. Yeah. If it didn't, I would not tell you. You'd probably see in a lot of trouble. So no, but it was the same price. So then the step 4 is customer experience. Customer based on their value to your organization. And there's several examples out there. I know that in my business, since I've been independent for a long time, I'm a big Staples customer. Office supplies. And when they first came to Chicago, I used to go to the local Staples store, and they would send me coupon, either the loyalty program, that kind of stuff. I get coupons on a regular basis. You get $10 off a $20 purchase. Of course, I want to use that. All right, that's 50% off. And so, but I get that on a regular basis. But after things slowed down, I didn't need a lot of stuff. But they knew that I purchased toner before, which kind of toner I use, and they send me a card and say, hey, come in and buy some toner for $10 off or something like that, or some percentage off, because they knew I should be out of toner by then. So they kept doing that, and after a while, when I changed the format of the function of the business, I didn't buy as often, but I got every 6 months I'd still get a card from them. And I can still go into the store today And the ones who are still there from when I was buying, they still recognize me. They talk to me and say, hey, hi, Brian, how you doing? And there's one guy who was there from day one. He's the clerk says, I just marked down some ink pens over here. You like gel ink pens? I said, yeah, I do. So he marked them down 70%. You want to buy a couple of them? I said, yeah. So it's that relationship that you build with your company. When I went to buy the software or some other things that I'd ask people, say, what's this thing? Is this any good? And then the guy said, no, that's not good. You don't want to buy that. Or they say, this is great. The customers really like that. They can tell stuff that's not good because people are returning it all the time. So helping out some valuable customers to them. Staples, you've got Amazon again. Is always been good at that because you shop on the site and then you get email or you see ads across the internet and so I just shop for that. How did they know I want that? Well, duh. They had a little cookie on my computer that I didn't realize, so I got rid of that part of it. But that's important though, because you want to have a good, positive customer relationship. Give them a good customer experience. So if you treat the customers appropriately, they will become your company advocate. The companies that treat me well, I write about them, I talk about them in my presentations. The ones that treat me badly, I do the same thing, but it's not very nice about them. I'm going to talk about one not very nice one here in a minute here. Shows customer appreciation for the loyalty and the volume of the business. So, to implement, you have to make sure you treat customers based on their value, whenever and wherever that customer interacts with your company. We did a CRM implementation for Bell South before they got gobbled up by AT&T. We not only trained the customer service, the marketing people and the customer service people, we trained people in the field, we got technicians out there, what CRM was all about. So they understood. So when everyone on the same page, this is what it is, this is what it's about, this is how you fit into the whole system. Otherwise, you're going to have people, that's not information, talking to people on the phone, that's not important, and just moving on from there and not recording it or not thinking it's important. We say, well, that's very important to us. We need to have that information and stuff. And so, incent customers to continue their value level, change behavior, become better. And yet empower employees to make the right decisions. How many times have you ever called customer service somewhere and they say, well, I can't help you, and you have to ask a supervisor, then ask for that supervisor, and so forth and so on, and it's very annoying, doesn't it? At least have the customer service agent empowered to make the right decisions. So a couple examples I have is AT&T, a long time ago, I called them up about a bill. And they sent me a nasty voicemail saying I hadn't paid a bill. I said, yes, I have paid that bill. And I had to return, I had to look at my bank online and see it was paid, and you guys had money for it already. So I said, no, you didn't pay it. Well, our system is not right. I said, well, your system is wrong. And the agent proceeded to argue with me about it, basically called me a liar. And so back in those days, it was very easy, but it's easier now. But the next day, I'm a very calm person until you mess with me. Very next day, I took every communication device or service we had that was with AT&T and went to another company. And it took 10 years for AT&T to get back in my house again. Right? And I was a very good customer at AT&T, and not only for my personal business, personal stuff, but for my business stuff also. I had a business, working from my home, but they didn't link the two accounts. So they would give me, satellite dishes and direct TV service and all that kind of stuff for free. But, and an agent treated me like that. Even if I wasn't a good customer, they still should not treat me the way she did. But, that's either here or now. But on the other hand, Barnett Bank, who's from Jacksonville? He's from Jacksonville, that's right. One of my clients. We had a product where we did monthly, we put a profitability code on the credit card customer file. The profitability, it was just a code went from A to M. A meaning bad, M meaning great. Okay, the higher the letter was, the better they were. And what we did, they sent us a file. We'd go through their interest earned on them, the interchange rates, and all this kind of stuff, and add it up and say, there's a code, send it back to them. They put it to their system. Well, what they were using it for is when a customer called and said, say, I have a return check via my credit card bill. I don't really think I want to pay it. I think I should pay it. And so the agent was empowered enough to look at their file, and all they saw was the code. They didn't know how much they made off of it. They saw a code. And if they were like an M or somewhere around that area there, they were a good customer. They said, okay, sir, or ma'am, we'll waive that fee for you this time. But if they were an A or a B or C customer, they said, well, I'm sorry, you have to pay that. And if they still complained more, they'd say, well, I'm going to send Tony Soprano out, and he'll take care of that for you. Okay? He'll help you out. He'll find your money for you, okay? But that's the philosophy. You make sure, once you're good customers, you give them a break sometimes. And if you're not making money off of them right now, you're not going to give them waive a fee for them because that's even more money that you're going to lose off of them. So then the last step is customer acquisition. Too fast to budget sometimes. So by using the profile of your current best customers, then your job is to go out and find those similar customers in the general population. Now, you have the demographic information on them, you find demographic data, put it to your customer file, and find customers like that. Income level, number of children, house, all this kind of stuff. And find those, and then market to them. As opposed to marketing to anyone who's walking and breathing and living in Chicago. So if you're not satisfied, how to make it a good customer, market to them, bring them into your fold, and put them part of your customer portfolio. Because we talked about before, remember how we said how every customer portfolio is different within the company. What makes one customer valuable to you is not valuable to someone else. But that gives you also a competitive advantage also because you know your best customers better than your competitor does. You know their needs and you know how to satisfy those needs better. And you should do that. So an organization is not wasting money chasing potential customers who may or may not become good customers. Move along to this implementation. Understand who your best customers are. Use demographics to find your same kind of customers in the general population. And then organize around those target markets. So review the 5 steps: customer understanding, value analysis, segmentation, grouping, customer experience, and acquisition. Okay, any questions so far? Data needs, this is for a telephone company, mobile phone. This is data needs, it uses for tracking and analyzing roadrunner behavior. Okay, it uses all your services, it buys everything you have. Your company's name is active, remember? Okay. And he uses cloud backup services because he needs to get blown up a lot in his office or in his home. All right. And he's a very loyal customer. You're Acme, remember? You know what Acme stands for? A company that makes everything.
Huh.
So then there's Bugs Bunny. He has extensive data needs also to track his carrot location that he's buried all over the place. All right. He takes support for frequent repairs of his mobile devices because he gets dirt in them. I don't know how he does that, but he always seems to get dirt in his devices. He has no service account. He just pays, out the wazoo each time he comes in there, full price for the service. But he's a very loyal customer also. Then you've got the Roadrunner. He also has extensive mobile needs because he's trying to find hot spots throughout the desert. He's mapping simulations, while he sets up these traps. He's trying to figure out how to get around them and stuff, where the weaknesses are. He uses cloud storage because he's always on the run. He doesn't have any pockets either. Okay. And he's a new customer. The last customer is Taz. Very low tech. It's an old smartphone. We always need constant repair services because it's always getting broken somehow. he buys an annual service contract though. He's in his 30 years as a customer. So we have these 4 customers here. We rank them their average annual profitability. Why they value is very good customer because he's worth $30 million a year to the company. His bugs about $1,500, Roadrunner about $2,600, and Taz about $800. You rank them. You put Coyote at the top one, top steer, bugs, Roadrunner and bugs and Taz. Then if you put them in a segmentation, you'd say, well, Riley's over here because he's your best customer. You know, he buys a lot from you. He has all your services. Roadrunner could be a good customer once he's on the books for a longer period of time. Bugs Bunny, he's mid-tier as he has been on with you for a while. He doesn't have as many services as the other 2 do. And Taz, he's mid-low to low actually, probably. He doesn't buy a lot. He's a service contract, so he's making money off of you basically. Because he's bringing his phone in every week to get fixed. Right? All right, so if all 4 customers call and come at the same time, who'd rather tier 1 customer support first? Ding, ding, ding. Who? Riley. That's right. Okay. Who would be your next highest priority? Bugs. Okay. All right. He's been with you for a long time, even though he's got as not as many points as Roadrunner. Okay. Good. You're learning. You got it. So now, acquiring a customer. So who do you acquire your acquisition efforts? Daffy Duck or Peppy for you? Okay. Daffy Duck has one mobile device. He calls it simple problems. You know, how do I send a text? Okay. Low data usage and low overages, and constant repair services. You know. Then Peppy has several devices, saying kind of all the females he's loved all over the world. Okay. He has unlimited data plan, needs mobility solutions, and cloud storage. So, which one do you want to go after first? What would be your number 1 acquisition target? Pepe. That's right. Okay. I just love it. So I do a very poor French accent too. You know, after being out, I spent some time in France, and after a day out, you know, walking around and sightseeing, my merci became mercy. All right, so in implementation, you try and do all 5 processes is the best thing, so it's the best solution. Implementing some is also helpful because you need to try to better understand your customers as much as you can, and have improved customer retention, better customer service, and then hire customers, acquire customers with a higher potential of being good customers in the long run. But you got to do something. You know, your customers aren't going to sit around with you to just come throw some money in your lap or give them some freebies or something like that. You know, those customers are very loyal in the first place. But the ones who are good and loyal to you, you need to make sure you take care of them. That's the bottom line. Questions?